So what is a credit score? It is a financial report card for your life. It is a GPA that measures your financial success. A credit score ranges from a low of 350 to a high of 850. It's very difficult to get an 850. But once again, to get that high credit score and premium gold status with banks, you're going to have to pay your credit card bill in full and on time every month. You're also going to pay your other student loan bills, mortgages, and car payments in full and on time as well. You can't miss or only pay part. You need to pay it all off what is due every month. So what is your score comprised of? 35% is your payment history, 30% is your amount owed, 15% your length of history, 10% new credit accounts opened, and 10% types of credits used. Now let's break these down. And as I've said before, the most important two are payment history. Do you pay on time every month? No missed or late payments. And the amount owed. Do you pay in full and on time every month? And if not, how much debt are you carrying? Now, we've been over this time and time again. If you pay your bill in full and on time every month and only spend on your credit card what is in your bank, you'll be fine and your credit score will be excellent. So 15% is how long you've had your credit account open. Whether that be how long you've had your credit cards, how long you've been paying your car loan, how long you've been paying your student loans. The longer the better, because it establishes a good track record, and that increases your credit score. The next 10% is how many credit accounts you have open. This includes how many credit cards you have, the number of cars you have that you'll be paying a loan on, your mortgage, your student loans, and other types of personal loans. Having a good variety of loans, such as what I've described, is what the bank likes to see, since it shows that you can manage different types of credit. However, a good point to know is to not have more than 3 credit cards. If the major credit scoring companies see you holding multiple cards, they may think that you need more money and could believe that you have no money in your bank to even pay them off, but are instead just living off of the credit cards company money until you crash and burn. It's kind of like playing with Monopoly money. If all you do is use credit cards, but never actually pay them what you owe them. And that is one of the ways in which the credit scoring companies establish your credit score. The amount of credit accounts you have open. So let's just touch a moment now on the amount owed. As I mentioned before, you were given a credit limit with your credit card. You want to keep the ratio of how much you were spending per month on your credit account around 30% of the total of the credit you were given. Now let me explain for a second. If I'm given a credit limit of $10,000, I want to spend no more than $3,000 a month on my credit card, but only if I have the funds in my bank account to do so. Now that will be a 30% credit utilization, $3,000 over $10,000. And if you have a $2,000 credit limit, you're going to want to keep your expenses below $600 a month, because that is 30% as well. Now, credit card companies don't like to see you spending up to your credit limit each month, because they think in their minds that you may not be able to pay the whole balance off, even if you do have the money for it. Now, who's actually calculating your credit score? There are 3 primary companies that calculate your score: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. There is no work on your part to calculate the score, other than paying your bills in full and on time. The credit score calculation is done behind the scenes by these 3. Now, these 3 do all the calculating and report your score to the bank if you wanted to get a home loan or car loan, for instance. Now, the bank would run a credit check on you when you applied for a mortgage or applied for a car loan, and then these 3 companies are going to send back the score. And based on the scores that the bank gets back, they're going to say, well, all 3 of these companies reported he is about a 770. So that's a pretty great credit score. I think we're going to go ahead and give him the loan, and we're going to give him a great interest rate so that he's not paying more than other people that have a bad credit score. Well, now you're probably thinking, okay, well, I've never had a credit card before, and I'm about to apply for one. But you're saying that they may give me a limit of $2,000, but I should also be only spending 30% of that, right? So $600 a month I have to live on? Well, I spend way more than $600 a month. How does that help me? There is a way around this. Disclaimer, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying what options there are available out there if you're serious about becoming financially independent. So this isn't illegal at all or anything or the sort. It's just a trick to increase your credit limit if you're really serious about your finances. I would think most of you out there are taking this seriously, so you should be okay. So when you are applying for your credit card the first time around, when you've never had one, the primary determinant of your credit limit the bank assigns you will be based on how much you make and how much in expenses you have per month. Now you should know that the bank doesn't verify your income or any of your expenses when you apply for a credit card. It doesn't check any of that. When you apply for a credit card, you'll fill out a simple form, which will go over on the next slide, and you just fill out what you make or what you tell them you're making. Once again, the bank doesn't verify any of this for a credit card. There really is nothing stopping you from lying to the bank, and the reason they don't check is that they want to issue credit cards to as many people as possible because they want people to go into credit card debt. It's how they make their money based on the interest they charge off of that debt. But you're smarter than this, and when you apply for a credit card, you'll be going in prepared to make them pay you every month in rewards points. So as an example, since I practically pay nothing in rent, have very little monthly expenses, and have a high income, the bank gave me a huge credit limit of $10,000 on my first credit card. I've never spent more than $3,000 a month since I've had that credit card. So I've always been well below the 30% limit I was just talking about. However, I'm sure there are certain incomes that if you type in may set off red flags, and you may be looked into, but as long as you don't overstate your income and keep it reasonable, you'll avoid setting off any alarms, and that's how you can get an excellent credit limit right out the gate. Now, after a couple months of using your credit card, you can always request to have your credit limit increased after you make a few payments in full and on time. They just want to see some proof you can pay them back. You can request a new credit limit right on the banking portal website, and they may give you at, around, or near that limit, so long as you've made some on-time payments and kept your credit usage low. So just to wrap up what I've been saying, you want to keep that credit usage below 30%. So if I have a $10,000 credit limit and $1,000 a month in expenses, that's great because that's 10%. So you want to keep it as low as possible. So a second way to stay under this 30% credit limit is actually to get a couple credit cards, 2 or 3, maybe even 4 if you need it, but I try to not go over 3. And why does this help? Because it spreads the credit limit across the 3 cards. I know some of you have wondered how many to have. Yeah, try and keep it around 3, but only use one as your primary. Now the other 3 credit cards that you're getting are just there for backup in case you lose one. Nothing happens if you don't use those credit cards at all. You don't get charged anything, nothing at all. It's actually beneficial if they just sit in your wallet because it will actually raise your total credit limit across all cards to keep your credit usage below 30%. You would normally want to get a couple credit cards if the credit card company initially assigns you a very low credit limit, like $1,000 a month, where you know you'll easily spend more than $300 to keep it under 30%. So no more than 3 cards or so, otherwise it becomes a confusing mess. If you wind up using all 3 and have to pay 3 different bills at the same time at 3 different times of the month, you want to avoid money draining from your bank account as much as possible so as to invest money as long as possible, which we'll be going over in the next lesson.